One afternoon, Coloratura had just finished 3 new lyrics. She went over to her manager's office to present them to him. "What can I do for you, Coloratura?" I finished these new lyrics. What do you think about them?" She handed over the lyrics to him, and he looked through each one carefully. "Well, I do say they are really good. You really had the talent, not only for the singing, but also making your own lyrics. It's just a shame that your previous manager never even allowed this. If you had been, those songs probably would have been a big hit. Right? I don't understand why you would even allow that though." "Well, since I have been finished this, and I do have one request." "Oh?" "Well, since we don't have any performance, and since we recently finished a big tour, I thought if I could maybe give her permission to have some, paid leave. I thought maybe go to see my old friend Applejack in Ponyville." "Sure. You really deserve some rest. You put so much effort during the tour, so you really need. I give you 2 weeks." "Two?" I thought maybe just a 1 week would have been enough, but okay, I'll take it. Coloratura felt happy. She even wrote a letter that afternoon, sent it to Applejack, and the very next day she got a reply from Applejack, who was looking forward to see her old friend again. And that same day, Coloratura actually took the train all the way back to Ponyville. She was just mostly looking forward not only to being relaxing for the next 2 weeks, but also be able to meet her old friend. "Hey, Sugar Cube, how have you been doing?" "AJ, has been fun." "Well, business and music is a lot of work." "Yeah, that's understandable. But it's not like the farm, though. Much tougher." "Yeah, understanding that. So, how is other things otherwise?" They're pretty much the same. Singing, recording, making new lyrics, tours, they're pretty much the same." "Anything new?" "No, I don't think so." Hmm. "Anyways, my other friends are really happy to meet you again." And so those 2 weeks as Coloratura were in Ponyville, she felt so relaxed. And she couldn't have been more happier just not only being giving 2 weeks break, but also being some time to spend time with her old childhood friend Applejack. But as soon as those 2 weeks passed, she said goodbye to Applejack and went back to Maid Hat. She felt so relaxed, but when she got back to her studio, she got another big surprise. During those 2 weeks, her manager had hired a new assistant to Coloratura, a Pegasus by the name Orchid Lily. "Hi, my name is Orchid Lily. You are Coloratura, right?" "Yes." "And who are you supposed to be? I mean, you said your name, but um, I'm sorry. Your manager hired me 2 weeks ago, shortly after you left for your vacation." "He did? And what are you supposed to be? I mean, are you going to be his assistant or something?" "Assistant, yes. But to him, no. But it's for you." "Me?" Coloratura said, a little bit surprised. She even went to her manager's office and asked, um, "There's this Pegasus saying that she is my assistant, Orchid Lily? Is that correct?" "Yep, it is." "Why?" I mean, I never even had a previous before, so what changed? Oh, I thought maybe if you had a system that maybe will help you around with some of your daily basis things like preparing some schedules, and if I'm not around, it would probably be best if you had some pony that will help you. Well, that makes sense, but you could have probably had hired a bit earlier. Well, I mean, I were in fact in the process, looking for to hire somebody, and the final interview was actually just shortly after you left. I wanted to have you part of the staff who was interviewing, but since you were so busy with your lyrics and the tour, I didn't want to put another much more duty on the stress to you. Hmm, I I appreciate that, but if you could at least give me a little bit of a warning, so you don't want to have an assistant. It's not like that. You just maybe next time just tell me in advance, okay? You gotta. After that, she went back to her own place, and since Orchid Lily was even assigned her own room in Colchora's place, since she was living in this penthouse on top of a building. And since Orchid Lily was going to be her assistant, she was assigned a small room in the same penthouse. Colchora didn't have any problem with that, since she had plenty of room anyways. It was a bit some new lifestyle for her. Getting used to having an assistant living with her, she thought maybe that Orchid Lily was gonna be more like Sven Gallop, controlling her schedule, who she's gonna interviewing with, who is going to be talking, but it was not even remotely that. In fact, she was very flexible. If Colchora was having some problem with some of the lyrics, Orchid Lily often gave her an advice. But it was one evening, just only about a month, they they started living together, and that she was assigned as an assistant to Colchora. There was just one evening after just about a month. Colchora was sitting by the piano, trying to come up with some new lyrics, but she was in a struggle. But then Orchid Lily, who just about at that moment came home, finding Colchora in a struggle. Hey, is something the matter? I'm trying to come up with a new song, but I can't even come up with any much lyrics. Oh, may I ask what type of song you had in mind? I don't know exactly. Sometimes it just comes to me like a feeling. Hmm. Have you ever thought of maybe doing a love song? A, a love song? I mean, you have done this on a few before, but it had been a while since you made one, isn't it? You're right, she said. But I can't even come up with any. I mean, the lyrics and all. Listen to your heart. Maybe that can help. Colchora did listen, and after that moment, Orchid Lily went to her room. At just that moment, the music filled the penthouse. It felt much vibrant, the radiant feeling of true emotions. And while just shortly the music started playing, Colchora started singing. And she was singing the most amazing song. And after she was finished, Orchid Lily went up to her again at the piano. And she said, that was probably one of the best love songs you ever done. Thanks. You like it that much? Yeah, absolutely. Have you ever thought of maybe put more emotions in the songs, in the lyrics? Maybe that can help you. You think so? Yeah, I mean, would it help you if there was somebody that maybe cared for you, loved you in romantic way, and that is like an inspiration? Well, it probably would. Then, how about this? Then she whispered something in the Colchora's ear and walked away with a smile. What was she whispering? Well, it was something that Colchora didn't expect. In fact, Colchora sat there by the piano for a while, blushing. What Colchora was whispered to was a secret. But for the next few days, Colchora worked hard on the new love song, and when she presented that lyrics to her manager, he was stunned. He was like, Colchora, this had to be one of the best love songs you ever made so far. What made you to choose this type of lyrics? Well, I had this sudden burst of inspiration. Oh, really? Do tell. Well, it's a secret for now, but I might eventually reveal it. Okay then. But that song was eventually produced and turned into music, and there was a big hit by the audience, and even brought more fans to her, and some of her loyal fans was happy. But that same day when the music was released to the public, Colchora was sitting in her penthouse along with Orchid Lily, and Colchora was playing on her piano. She was just playing as a random song that she had played before. Orchid Lily walked up to her and put her wing on Colchora's back and laid her head against her chin. That was secret. What she whispered to her ear was a love confession. Orchid Lily, ever since she started became her assistant for over a month ago, she started developing these feelings for Colchora. But she wasn't sure if she would even be able to tell her to confess to her since she is a celebrity and she's just an assistant. She wasn't sure if Colchora was even into mayors or anything like it. But she decided to take the risk and did that. And to her surprise, after the song was made, the lyrics was made, and the music was eventually recorded and published and released, she realized those emotions was exactly what she felt for Orchid Lily. Only about a few days after that music was released, Colchora made a public statement. She made a statement about the most recent news, the music she had released, and the true fact story behind it. She even had Orchid Lily standing by very close to her as her assistant. It was then when she made the announcement. She and her assistant Orchid Lily are now in fact dating. And since they've been living together for about a month, they were now officially dating. She was expecting some backlash, some backfire on her statement from the public. But in fact, every other celebrities like Sapphire Shores and a few other singers actually gave her the biggest support. And the general public, they choose to pretty much supporting this. Even Colchora's old friend Applejack. She wrote a letter to her friend saying she had the biggest support not only from her, but her family and her friends. And she was happy. They decided to do a lot of some dates now and then, but since due to the fact of her schedule and sometimes tours and all, but since Orchid Lily was always by her side Even between the performance, recording of music, and tours, they always had some dates. Either they just went on a walk together, had a small picnic, or even went out eating, or even went out dancing. They knew for a fact of how much tough schedule Culture had, but she was happy, and were so Orchid Lily. Even after just 2 years of them being dating, you know, I felt happy to be with you. I felt the same. And who knows that like we would even find our true love like this, said Orchid Lily. Yeah, 2 years had passed. Even back then I was expecting the public was gonna tell me she's not right for you. You're not suitable for her. She's an assistant. You're a celebrity. That was gonna work. But to have all this my fans support and even other celebrities, I just felt happy. I feel the same, said Orchid Lily. And only about a few days after this conversation, when they were having dinner in the penthouse, Orchid Lily actually even proposed to Coloratura, and she said yes immediately. When they only about a couple of days afterwards, they came up with this announcement. They now were engaged. They were planning to get married sometime into the summer, since this was early spring. Coloratura had asked Applejack to be her maid of honor, which she accepted. Orchid Lily had asked Sapphire Shores to be her maid of honor, since they also have become really good friends. And at the wedding, Applejack was really happy for her old friend to be finally getting married and settled down. Even after the wedding and the small reception that was held at the penthouse, only a few ponies was invited to include Applejack and her family and her friends. Every pony was just having a good time. And later, it was time for them to go on their honeymoon. And they actually went to Crystal Empire for about 2 weeks. There, they had just amazing time. Just relaxing, enjoying the culture, do some sightseeing, just the best of time they ever could have been altogether. But then, just barely 2 years after they got married, they wanted to start a family. Coloratura had asked Twilight for help, and Twilight was more than willing to help them. Orchid Lily decided that she wanted to be pregnant first, and she later gave birth to a daughter, a Pegasus. And after 2 more years, Coloratura gave birth to a son, an Earth pony. Coloratura was never this excited to be now officially married and have 2 children with her wife. But at nights, she often had nightmares of Sven Gallop yelling at her, or at least firm tone, to obey him. That she will listen to his rules and his schedule. Every time one of those nightmares happened, Orchid Lily was always there next to her to comfort her. By the time of their son and daughter was born, those nightmares had finally stopped. She was just excited to officially now to have those dreams gone. In fact, even before Orchid Lily was introduced to Coloratura, those nightmares frightened her, to be replaced with love and care from her wife, Orchid Lily. Orchid Lily herself was really happy to have met her true love. Before then, even before she was even part of the staff and eventually the assistant to Coloratura, she never thought that she would never find her true love. She did like Coloratura's music. It was sort of like a wildest dreams that she was chosen to be Coloratura's assistant. Even though the fact that they're now married, she's still acting and work as Coloratura's assistant and also co-parent to their two children. They're giving their children the best life as much as possible they can do. And this is how Coloratura and Orchid Lily found the true love of a big family together. The